All right, everyone. We are too deep in the queue. Jeff Rich alongside Chris Poltrone to give you everything going on with the Cavs. There's two of us here. We're talking about what happens in the queue, what happens on the road, and what happens with that Texas triangle. The Cleveland Cavaliers finally get their groove together. It seems like we have to go through this every year, Chris. We're waiting for the Cavs to kind of gel and come together as a team and get everybody healthy. I think that we got damaged goods in a way from Minnesota in acquiring Kevin Love. Kyrie Irving, obviously we had to wait, right up until about Christmas to have his services back on the floor, both at the Q and on the road this season. And it looks like it's finally coming together. So, hey, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jeff. Thanks. I appreciate you having me with you to discuss this today. I'm real excited.
All right. So Cavs finding their groove. We don't have any losses to talk about over the last week going back to the Minnesota game. Games that the Cavs should win. They are winning them. It's almost like they need to come to America West Arena, or actually I think they're calling it Talking Stick Resort Arena right now, or Gila River Resort. It's tough. It's named after one of the casinos on the reservation, as is every other venue here in Phoenix. But that was kind of the turning point in the first season of having LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love on the floor. They were 19-20. They went on an incredible run, came up just short, didn't have a full roster for the NBA Finals. And here we stand. And you look at I saw a crazy stat. The Cavs are like something like 41-5 over the last 46 games when they do have their big three on the floor. So, is this kind of what you expected the Cavaliers to be, or is it kind of surprising every time they can get out of their funk?
I wouldn't say that I'm surprised by it. Obviously, they're a talented team, and they have that can be proven on paper or when you watch them. I think that the Cavaliers sometimes have a problem with playing down to their opponents. For example, the Philadelphia game that we just had this past week. Obviously, at I think at the time they were 4-35. Philadelphia is not a team that should give us problems with the level of talent that we possess, and I think sometimes that they play to win, but not to exert themselves fully when they're against a team that's 4-35. I think that was and Philadelphia. Every team gets up to play the Cavs. Everybody wants to be the team. They want to put that feather in their cap that says we beat the Cavs. So a lot of times they'll come extra energized to the Q, or even on the road, especially when an opponent is at home, they want to play their best in front of their own crowd. So we had a little bit of a tough time with Philadelphia. And they played a very close game through probably 3.5 or so quarter, or 2.5 quarters into the middle of the third quarter, I'd say. And then it seemed like they started to kind of slow down in the third, as a part of the third and in the fourth quarter, the 76ers. So we were able to take advantage and get a lead and hold a lead against them. What did you think about that Philadelphia game?
Well, it's disappointing when they don't run away, because they're supposed to be such world beaters. And of course, the gold standard right now, unfortunately for Cavs fans, it is the Golden State Warriors, the defending champions, the team with 3 losses halfway through January in a non-shortened season. As long as they come away with the W, I don't really care how it gets done. I mean, that's for others to criticize. You go out there, get the wins, get comfortable playing with each other. Then when April, May, June roll around, everybody's playing up against everybody. It's kind of, there's a big difference between the regular season, especially in those winter sports. It happens in the NHL too, where you have a team that grinds, and they chase down every loose ball, and they play a full 48 minutes or 60 on the ice, whatever the case may be. And, that element to your game that allows some of the weaker teams to win, that allows a team like Denver to knock off Golden State, that element goes away when you get to the playoffs, because there's no tomorrow. Even though you have the 7-game series and you could drop one on the road, you prefer not to drop any at home during the playoffs. But you get to a point where the effort factor, the Dellavedova factor. And we did, and he kind of was an outlier to this concept, to where hustle doesn't matter because everybody hustles when you get down to the nitty gritty. But during the regular season, you just take so many plays off. You distribute the ball. I mean, going back to Minnesota last Friday, J.R. Smith's your leading scorer. That's not really the winning formula, but it works if it needs to in the regular season.
Right. Yeah. I've noticed JR has been doing his fair share of scoring lately, but it seems that's almost all he does. I feel like a good, well-rounded championship team has guys that can fill up more than one stat category. I'm looking right now, again, the Minnesota game that we had where we won 125-99, that's the kind of win we need to have over a team like Minnesota. But in that game, JR was great for scoring, 27 points. He had no rebounds. He had 2 steals, and that was it. No assists, no rebounds. I mean, it's great to have that.
You know what that is, Chris? That's the New York Knick in him. That's right. That's what you see out of Carmelo Anthony. He might score 40 points, then you look down the stat sheet, he doesn't have an assist. It's just like, all right, great, 40 points, but you didn't create anything else.
Right. You have a team of primarily just scorers. You just can't be successful in the NBA. I'm looking at the other side of that game with Wiggins. Wiggins was great. He had 35, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and 35 points. LeBron, even in that game, he almost had a triple-double, 13 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. At least he's filling up the stat sheet. Those are contributions that are actually essential to the team winning as opposed to just the score.
What's in the Cavs' best interest as far as game control? And I know that it varies from opponent to opponent, but I mean, do they want to play a grinded out 87 to 76 kind of win, or are they better off when they just they play what I like to refer to as old school Western Conference basketball, where you just put the ball in the net? You're going to allow a lot of points on your end of the floor, and you have these 250, 275, 300 point games between two teams.
I think that it depends on the opponent. Obviously, our goal against a Golden State would be to have one of those knockdown, drag out, like we had Christmas Day, even though we lost, we held them to 89 points. I think there's certain teams that we need to play that game against. And then there's, if we find that we're kind of lacking in energy or defense, like I'm concerned about back-to-back sometimes on how much effort we want to put in on defense, then those are games where...
Is that a health concern or is that a fatigue concern?
I think it could be both. Primarily it's a fatigue concern, but as you know, fatigue certainly can lead us, more fatigue can lead us into injuries. I love how they've been managing the big three's minutes this season. Kevin being the least of them that's had his minutes managed. I think he's played fairly consistent minutes, but obviously you have to keep Kyrie's low as he's still working his way up, and you're going to have to keep LeBron's low throughout the season because they're all going to be relied upon so heavily come April and May. So I worry, like you said earlier in the season, there are games it's very hard to get up and play consistent, solid defense in November against an average team. So I think that they need to be very careful as they go forward. This past week, I saw some things that were just really, really just made me smile. And last night, it wasn't last night, it was Tuesday night against Dallas. I could not get the smile off I woke up with a smile on my face. The way they played with such heart and determination against a great team. I think Dallas is number 4 in the Western Conference for the playoffs, and we've got San Antonio, which is number 2, and Golden State, which is number 1. Houston, which is I think in the 8th spot right now, even at 19-19 or right around 500 they were playing. So we've got an opportunity here to really almost a playoff preview against the West to kind of gauge where we're at, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, it's kind of convenient that you see it all on one road trip, and then you follow it up with Golden State at home, and you go to Brooklyn. You got to lay up against the Nets theoretically. It's looking good, and I think that if you really want to find a flashpoint in the season, it might have been the game they just played on Tuesday night in Dallas. They take down Mark Cuban's Dallas Mavericks 110-107 in overtime. And, this is a game that they really had to take away from Dallas late in the fourth quarter. LeBron had to take over, and it keeps haunting my mind. It's like, why couldn't he go to the rim in game one, in the same situation against Golden State? But, hey, this is a game that's important to pull out. And I think that, I think Kyrie Irving's finally got his sea legs under him. I think it took him about a month to get there.
I agree. And, you go so long, the rest of the finals and then, the summer and the regular season without really seeing him play. And you forget sometimes how talented he actually is. I even in this small sample that we've had from him this season, comparatively, I'm a believer. I think he's the best finisher in basketball. I know there's other great guys that go to the hoop, but for a guy coming right off an injury to be playing at this level so soon, that's the only conclusion I can come to. That Dallas game was special. I said ahead of time when I saw this stretch, the triangle or the tour of Texas, as I like to call it, when I saw this stretch, I said, if we go 1-3, but we play really hard, I'll be happy. Or 1-2. I'm sorry, 1-2. I was including Golden State with that. Even with Golden State, even though we're not going out west to play them, they're coming to us. But if we went 1-3 in those 4 games, I'd be happy if I felt like the team was competitive and played hard and didn't lose their focus. You worry for non-playoff games that they're like, well, we could afford to lose this one. I don't want to see that. I don't want to feel that from them at all. I want them to play hard. Every basket, I'm hanging on every basket for them. So that win at Dallas was huge for us. And that shot that Kyrie hit at the end, I think I woke my wife up. I was watching it on my iPad and I let out something audible. Hopefully it wasn't too loud, but because it was after 11, I think, or almost 11 at night. And that was just amazing that he hit that shot. I was so excited.
Oh, he hit that from the middle of Texas. Wherever Dallas is, he hit it from the opposite end of the state. That was, I mean, the assist on that play too. LeBron James flips it out to Kyrie because he has faith in him. Kyrie's so far removed from his rookie year, and then you sit there and you look at the vitals on him, and he's 23 years old. It's just such a great future for the Cavaliers in Cleveland. I mean, and you could say this in the context of just about any conversation about either the 2014-15 season or the 15-16 season.
Yeah, and as far as Kyrie, I've been feeling like the last piece of his game to come online is his three-pointer. He hadn't been really shooting that great from range in his games, but that put a real sticking point in my mind that says, hey, you know what? Maybe things are starting to click. Maybe his game is 100% back. And no better time than in the middle of this, or just in time for this trip and the homecoming against Golden State on Monday.
Yeah. Is it important for the Cavs? Is there any mental edge that we can look forward to in June that it would be so disadvantageous for the Cavaliers to go 0-2 against Golden State in the regular season? Or do you think that gets put behind everybody after 3 rounds of playoffs?
I think it gets put behind us. I don't think people really, because we had a good season series against them last year going into the finals. I think we beat them both, or we're 2-1 against them during the regular season last year. I have to look that up, but I know that we had the advantage. You know what I think we did on Christmas Day? Even though we didn't win, I think we put doubt in their mind. And I think that's just one piece that was very important to let them know, hey, look, you're not going to score over 100. We can be, and hopefully we will be, an elite defensive team in this league. And there's no gimmies with us. We're at the top of the Eastern Conference for a reason. It's not by mistake. It's not because we have a weak schedule. We we play good defense, and you guys are going to have to figure something out because we're going to bring this every time we face you on the court. So I'm hoping that is the consistency of that message is they get that message again on Monday. Golden State does, and we defend our home court because it's so important to be able to defend our home court against them.
Couple of personnel moves this week. Joe Harris, the prominent 15th guy, 12th guy, whatever. He gets traded basically just to kind of give Dan Gilbert a break on the on the salary cap, luxury tax, everything else. And Mo Williams leaves the team for personal reasons, misses the game against Dallas the other night, I believe. I don't think that he'll be playing against San Antonio on Thursday night. These two moves with the guards, they're buried pretty far down on the depth chart, especially given that Dellavedova's kind of slotted himself above Mo Williams. And I don't think we expected that when we brought Williams back to the Cavaliers this offseason.
No, I certainly did not. I expected Mo to be our off the bench point guard. He played well at the beginning of the season. Delly has been very consistent in that position, and I think the consistency is what they love, and the energy. I don't know that Mo comes off as intense on defense as Dellavedova does, or as frenetic. And I think that that might have something to do with the situation. There was some talk that Mo was not pleased with the decrease in playing time. Originally, I believe it was explained away as, well, we need you to get used to coming off the bench because Kyrie is going to be coming back, that kind of a transition. And we'll have, Delly play the part of Kyrie as you come off the bench. And then when Kyrie came back, Delly just pushed him down the depth chart a little bit. And you can't say anything about Delly's consistency. He was great in the playoffs last year, and then he kind of was a victim of some of the hype. Maybe he started to buy into some of the hype in the finals, and he wasn't able to produce as consistently in the finals when we really needed him. And then I don't think it's crazy because everybody was so high on him in the Atlanta series. And then by the time we were done and we lost the finals, I think everyone was kind of, it was a flash in the pan. And to be honest with you, I was a little surprised that they re-signed him for this year. But now I'm glad that they did. But he brings energy. He brings a little bit of unpredictability. A lot of times he'll go in for that kind of floating drive that he does, and sometimes that floating drive turns into a Delly oop, as they've been calling it lately on the broadcast. So and he can hit. His 3-point shooting has been so much improved from what it was previously. It was an exciting surprise when he hit a 3 before, and now I have a lot more confidence when they kick it out to him. So. That's been big. I'm a little worried about Mo. I would love to keep him on the team. I think he definitely could bring. He could be an asset to this team. He shoots very well, and he's got a lot of experience. He's a veteran point guard. But I guess that'll play itself out. I'm not sure exactly the details. I didn't really look into what was going on. I saw that he was off. He missed the game for personal reasons, but then they did a featurette on him at Mo Williams Academy. So I don't know what's going on.
That's ill time. That's like when they do a bobblehead night for a guy that gets sent down to AAA or to the D League, right?
Yeah, maybe they'll try to unload some Joe Harris bobbleheads Monday.
That'd be great. Hey, is there a personnel move that you see the Cavs making, whether it be via trade or over the waiver wire, to just add one more piece to kind of help them make the run? They were, you could put it a lot on playing without Kevin Love in the finals, playing without Kyrie Irving for most of the finals. Is there a move to strengthen the bench, maybe a big man that can take the load off of Timothy, or is there something out there that you see the Cavs really chasing down that's a viable transaction?
I don't know if there's a specific player that could help us. I'd have to look and see who's maybe being shopped, possibly. I read that Varejao was not requesting a trade. I think that's probably in his best interest. I think he's more of a figurehead with this team now than an active participant, though he does do what he can when he does get playing time, usually in situations where we're well ahead. But he just physically isn't what he used to be anymore, and that's unfortunate. But that's part of the game. You have players that happens to. I have not really seen much of Sasha Kaun. I probably won't. For anybody that reads my my weekly articles about the Cavs, I'm not a huge Mozgov fan. I don't think that he's particularly able to focus. He feels like a liability. I was really actually quite happy when they pulled him from the starting lineup and put Tristan in his place. I think that is a much better starting lineup for us. He's had moments where he's been good. He's had a couple of what did he have? I think he had 10 points against Dallas and a few good moves. But for the better part of this season, he's just felt like a liability. He's bad passes. He's a horrible finisher. As good a finisher as Kyrie is, I feel like Mozgov is one of the worst finishers. He doesn't have good hands. He makes bad passes. Is he improving? Probably a little bit, but I feel like he's almost regressed from the playoffs last year.
Well, let me tell you what let me tell you what that sounds like to me. And I'm just really echoing the voice of, my pal David Zavak over at Fear the Sword. And it's that he's been playing hurt, that he probably needs surgery. And the roster's just been so depleted that they didn't have that luxury to put him on the shelf for 2 or 3 months. And I think that might be something that they regret come finals time, especially if you are facing Draymond Green and Festus Ezeli, and the bigs out there in the Western Conference. There's obstacles in the East, but perhaps in Cleveland, we don't give those obstacles enough credit.
That could be. Yeah. You could explain some of it away to an injury. I've seen him make mental errors a lot, unless he's got a brain sprain, especially in key moments too. So I don't have a lot of faith in him. Maybe that will help. We definitely need someone, like you said, when the Draymond Greens come along and the Bogut's, and in the East, even the Pau Gasols, somebody to rebound other than Tristan, and Kevin. I think at one point Kevin was averaging 12 rebounds a game, and with almost as many minutes, Mozgov was averaging 4. So it's like I don't know. I worry about him when it comes to crunch time. He's not a guy that I feel like I can rely on. As far as making a move, for our big, I think we should. I don't know. I haven't really looked into the possibilities of what that might look like for us, but I would certainly be open to that. He would probably Mozgov would probably be one of the only guys that I would maybe move. I know LeBron loves James Jones, but I'm not a huge fan of James Jones either, at least not this season. It's like him and Delly traded their 3-point percentage. I don't know what happened. He used to be able to hit 3-pointers, and it's just rim after rim after rim, and I just don't play him anymore. And they didn't. He didn't play against Dallas at all. He wasn't even. I think he was a DNP coach's decision. So
he shouldn't be part of the rotation. I mean, I like that he could play a role, and he might be able to give you a little bit of a spark, especially if if you have the personnel out there that's that's going to the hole and just leaving him out on the 3-point line. But if LeBron's not in the game, there's no reason for James Jones to be on the floor, and if they're deep enough, there's no reason for him to really be on the roster.
Right. Yeah. James Jones has felt like the 2016 version of Shawn Marion. It's not really helping.
Speaking of that, Rich Jeff, comes to the organization. He's been with the Nets and the Spurs and probably a few other stops. And he looked really good at the beginning of the season. And it's just like they said, nope, you got to play the Sean Marion role. You wave the towel on the sideline, and we'll give you a jersey and we'll pay you and everything. But they really haven't used him to spell like LeBron like they were supposed to. Use Marion to spell him a year ago.
I agree, and in the beginning of the season, he was very promising. He was an immediate upgrade from the Mike Millers and the Sean Marions that we had last season. I'm not sure why they haven't gone to him. I noticed he did play a little bit in Dallas, and he's been pretty consistent with the 3-pointers. And he had a good drive. Was that against Philadelphia? That might have been, or was that against Dallas? I think it might have been last. I get everything so confused. I remember like visions of plays, but I'm trying to think, who was that against?
Who cares about the guys in the other jerseys, man?
Right. As long as we get the W. But I think they should use him more, even if it's just another 3 to 4 minutes a game so LeBron can sit. I wish they would.
Hey, have you ever done that? Have you ever done the Texas Triangle? Dallas, Houston, San Antonio?
Myself personally?
Yeah.
I've never. No, I've never.
I did it a couple of years. I wasn't going out there and playing 36 minutes. So I was probably sitting on my rear end drinking beer. Right. But a couple of years ago, it was right after it was basically during the aftermath of the Boston Marathon in April of 2013. We flew into Dallas on Thursday night. Drove straight, basically just took the red eye, got in the car, and drove straight to Houston. Watched the Indians play the Astros. Drove to San Antonio. We didn't go, but while we were in San Antonio, it was tough to get a hotel room because Canelo Alvarez was fighting a championship fight down at the Alamo Dome. You're a boxing guy, so
I am a big boxing guy.
So you probably know the fight that I'm talking about. And then we drove up to Arlington, the Dallas area for a Rangers Mariners game. The heck of a weekend, but man, a lot of miles on the car. There's a lot of miles on the Cavaliers too with this. They've got one leg of it done. Back to back Thursday and Friday. It's not a long trip via airplane. It wasn't a Toyota Corolla, I'll tell you that. But you've got the two best teams in the West. You got Houston, who's a lot better than their record, and I think that'll even out as we get deeper and deeper into 2016, especially as we hit the Western Conference playoffs. I don't think that they care what seed that they are. They play the same basketball in the Toyota Center and away from it. So I'll tell you what, though, these are all very losable games for the Cavaliers, or they could stay the course and keep doing what they've been doing.
I think the Cavs will be totally up for the Spurs tonight. I am a little worried about tomorrow night in Houston. As you said, they're better than their record. Teams, as I mentioned, even like Philadelphia, they really focus and they show up against the Cavs. Everybody wants to have that on their resume. We have a little bit of a history with James Harden. I don't know if you remember the little. He kicked LeBron a little bit, and that was.
Oh yeah, well you know what? I'm an Arizona State guy, so I gotta listen to everybody defend Harden left and right.
Right.
And, because I'm from Cleveland, I don't really have the right to defend the Cavaliers, without having a level of bias, which is kind of the downfall of being in the in the new media like we are, where we're blogging and we're podcasting, but. We don't we kind of don't have that parameter of no cheering in the press box because we don't get in the press box more often than not.
Right. I think there's a little bad blood there.
There should be.
I feel like the fans haven't forgotten. I know the players haven't forgotten. I think the Cavs will be up to the task mentally. It's just a matter of whether they're going to be physically, depending on how much San Antonio takes out of us tonight. San Antonio has not lost at home. I sure would like to put that feather in our cap of being the first team to beat them at home this season. But a win is a win. That doesn't matter to me. As long as even if they lose by a close game, I know that San Antonio hasn't forgotten what Kyrie did to them last year, dropping 50 plus. I don't expect that to happen tonight, but boy, would that be something if he could recreate that.
That was the last time they lost on that floor at the AT&T Center. So
Is
that's
that right?
Yeah, that's I mean, we're going back to March tour. We're almost going back a full calendar year with that. So
Yeah.
look out for that. Look out for San Antonio to play up. I mean,
Yes.
they kind of their system doesn't really lend itself to playing up and down. It's a very steady course. It's all, you talk to Western Conference fans like I've got here in the Phoenix market, and they're going to tell you it's just a boring team to watch. They root against the Spurs because there's no entertainment value, but winning basketball, I'll tell you what, if you're in San Antonio, I don't think you're bored with your basketball team. And I don't think you have been over the last decade or so.
Right. Yeah. It's got to be a little frustrating for Golden State to have played so well and have a team still only 3 or 4 games behind them in the Western Conference. So the San Antonio is a monumental. It'll be a monumental win if we can pull it off tonight.
Okay. Segment on the show. Hopefully this is a recurring segment. We've been kind of working it out behind the scenes, but this is a time for the wine and gold. That's WHINE. So give me something to whine about and give me something that's just gold about this basketball team in your own mind.
Well, as far as the wine, I got a little bit of that out earlier. That would be right now that's Mozgov and James Jones. I really want a team that has somebody on the bench they can rely on. Even if the first 3 or 4 guys are not having a great game, that you can go to that guy and think, you know what, at least we got a chance. Let's put him in some fresh legs. When those guys come in, I kind of go, maybe I should take a bathroom break, or, it's almost like a car crash. I want to watch, but I kind of feel bad watching. I don't know if I want to watch. And sometimes they surprise me. But I think they need to stick with more Richard Jefferson, and I'd love to see more Mo, and maybe even a little bit of Varejao, just a few extra minutes to give Thompson a rest. I think that would be good for them. The gold is the big 3. I know maybe that's a little too easy.
It's cliche,
answer,
but it's a little bit chalk, but that's okay.
There's a picture somebody took Tuesday night of the big 3 right after Kyrie hit that shot, and you got Kevin in the background, you got LeBron with his hands in the air, and you got Kyrie dropping the threes on both of his hands at his waist, and you see them, they're almost cascading. That right there, I wanted to make it my wallpaper. I wanted to print it. I wanted, you know what I mean? Because that was just really symbolic for me. Those guys have put this team on their back, and just taken it. And when the 2, when one is having a bad night, the other 2 seem to step up. This team, that they are the heart of this team. I can't really say enough good things about them. I wish I had an original thought on something other than just those guys. I just can't say enough about them. And I'm so grateful. As a fan, I'm so grateful to them for how hard they play and the leadership they show the rest of the team.
Right on, Chris. Hey, did you happen to tweet that picture that you're talking about out?
I don't know if I did or not. I might have put it. I don't know if I put it on Instagram or not. I will if I didn't.
I'll tell you what. You should do that. So that
the Cavs tweeted it out.
The Cavs tweeted it out. So
from the Cavs, I didn't take it myself, of course, but no copyright infringement there. But I think it was the Cavs that put it out, and I just looked at it, and it just spoke to me.
What do you think of Twitter? This really has everything to do with the Cavs, but just editor to writer. What do you think of Twitter on the whole?
You and I are pretty much the same age. Twitter is the last frontier of social media for me. There won't be a Snapchat for me. Our generation is very Facebook friendly. That was in our wheelhouse at a good time. I feel I like Twitter. And I keep trying. That was something that was suggested to me when I started writing, is to try to develop some sort of a presence on Twitter, to try to attract readers or what have you, or just at least get some takes out there and get your name out there. But it's a struggle for me because it's not something that I constantly keep up with like I do Facebook. And maybe that's a generational thing. Maybe that's because of my age. But I'm appreciating it more than I did a couple years ago, but it's still an effort for me to be active on it. And I don't have a scientific explanation as to why, but
maybe I could sum it up, because like you said, we are about the same age. This is one of those things that I think that, people born in the, in the late 70s, early 80s are kind of the cutoff. You get to 85, 86, and it's a completely different generation. I think that people like us, and I think the problem is that we don't realize as we approach our mid 30s just how old we are compared to these kids coming out of college. So I think we get buried in the millennials pop culture because that's what sells, because young people are all about it. I'm a fan of Twitter. I was really just kind of setting you up to plug the Twitter handle. Go ahead and follow Chris on
and of
Twitter.
Course, you threw it down the middle of the plate, and I just said, "Wait, are we playing?" Yeah, it's at SCSA0096 on Twitter. If you'd like to follow or even just have a conversation, I'd be happy to talk to anybody or entertain any kind of questions. I'm a huge boxing fan too. I may be one of the last boxing fans in the world, but if there happens to be anybody out there that enjoys boxing, I'd love to talk that too.
All right, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, God knows why you'd want to, but I'm at @ByJeffRich. That's ByJeffRich, and you follow our site, both sites, at MTAF Sports, at MTAF Cleveland, where Chris proudly scribes about the Cavs each week. And tell you what, it's about that time. We're swimming towards the shallow end, but don't worry, we'll be back here next week, and we'll be too deep in the queue.